Political correctness is a way of speaking that's designed to avoid offending people. It elicits a lot of controversy, however, as some people believe it stifles free speech, whereas others believe it's needed to protect certain groups that are often stereotyped or experience prejudice. There's also another group of people who remain apathetic towards political correctness, maintaining that it neither helps nor hinders the groups that it's intended to protect. In this video, I've organised the debate into three groups: those who are in favour of political correctness, those against, and those who are apathetic towards it. They don't think it does anything. Let's get to it. Those in favour of political correctness stress that our words are very powerful and we need to be careful about how we use them. We could risk harming others, maybe by promoting certain stereotypes that lock minorities out of the debate, or in the sense that our words can actively trigger trauma for certain groups, for example domestic abuse victims. In this sense, political correctness, or tailoring our vocabulary to avoid offending anybody, is about respect. Furthermore, proponents of political correctness argue that by having certain rules and guidelines in place, it improves civil discourse as a whole. This is because it forces people to avoid using demagogic, sensationalized arguments that rely on stereotypes, and instead they have to rephrase their arguments, relying on statistics and not appealing to emotion. Stepping back a bit, because I realise what I just said is quite a mouthful, a demagogue is somebody who appeals to people's emotions and prejudices through arguments that reflect these, as opposed to rational arguments. In a democracy, we often risk being at the whim of demagogues because of the universality of the system. Almost anybody can run for office, and almost anybody can vote. In this sense, political correctness arguably provides a standard that prevents people from appealing to the everyman's prejudices, thus avoiding demagoguery. Now for opponents of political correctness. Opponents argue that political correctness does not prevent demagoguery and hatred, instead it fuels it. Supposedly, by making certain terms and topics off limits, it results in censorship that leads to toxic views developing. This can arguably be demonstrated in the rise of Donald Trump, a man who rose to prominence in the 2016 Republican primaries by saying exactly what he thought, brazen and often offensive though it was. Many have argued that Trump's successes in this field had a lot to do with a backlash against the politically correct culture in America, specifically on college campuses and in the media. Opponents of political correctness also ask the more general question of who decides what is and what isn't politically correct. It's an important question because it draws attention to the idea that political correctness is a form of suppression, a small out-of-touch clique dictating what is right and wrong to the rest of us. The final group of arguments about political correctness represents a sort of apathy. These people neither support nor oppose political correctness. Instead, they believe it's useless, but also harmless. The argument goes that using a word like spokesperson as opposed to spokesman doesn't reduce the gender pay gap or help to eliminate sexist stereotypes about women in the workplace. These people argue that highlighting certain terminology as sexist or racist or homophobic offers nothing tangible in terms of actively eliminating sexism, racism or homophobia. Furthermore, those who are apathetic towards political correctness don't see it as stifling free speech either. They argue that in most cases, people aren't compelled to use certain terminology. Instead, they're asked, which is hardly robbing anybody of anything, is it? In this sense, the apathetic group of people are a nice contrast between the others who bang on about PC culture gone mad, SJWs wrecked, etc., and the other group who thinks that using the word actor as opposed to actress is tantamount to depriving women of their civil rights. So to conclude, political correctness is a way of speaking to avoid offending anybody. Those in favour of it argue that it maintains respect in political debate, which helps to protect certain groups as well as improving discourse as a whole. Those against it see it as an attack on free speech, an almost dictatorial measure. Those who don't care either way do not see how using certain terminology advances the plight of the group's political correctness seeks to help. Neither do they see how asking people to use certain terminology is so dictatorial. I think if I was to pick a side, I would choose the apathetic group, while still being wary about how much we're compelling people to use certain terminology. That's Political Correctness. Thanks for watching. Please like, please share, and please subscribe.